Hello, everyone, and welcome to Challenge for Change. I'm Stevie Carr, founder and CEO of Wise Wellness Guild, and I'm so grateful to have you here today. I see a lot of familiar faces, but for those of you who are new, Wise Wellness Guild is a community aimed at advancing women through whole self wellness. And we do this through not just yoga and a smoothie, but we really look at the whole you. And a lot of you who are on here are career women. You are people who have been in the workforce and are looking to just find ways to connect with like-minded women to continue to advance in peak performance and avoid burnout. One of the greatest challenges that we have as women, and especially working women, is being able to invest in ourselves in ways that look like financial investment. And that's through the power of Paycor and our partnership that we've been able to bring this Challenge for Change series. Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing to you Whitney Ellison. Whitney is a founding member of Wise, and I have known her for several years now, had the pleasure. One of the greatest things that I have learned from Whitney Ellison in this space is that really everything in the beginning of all knowledge starts with yourself. And understanding that through this Challenge for Change series, we've gone through understanding our money archetype, understanding a little bit about our money personality and what that looks like, understanding our money story. So how did we, and that started with Shimula. Bree Bavaro of Fifth Third Private Bank took us through the journey of understanding when our money story started and that the heart and the beginning of everything. What does that really entail and look like? And today's conversation is really more than just about your finances, but more about looking in your mindset and mentality about an approach to life, and how that translates to money will dictate your ability to embrace the challenges around you, embrace the people around you, and potentially even build better relationships. The law of attraction, abundance mindset, is a mentality that focuses on positive possibilities and thinking big and believing that there's enough for everyone. And I really do believe that this is the difference between people who are willing to lift while they climb versus people who compete over collaboration. And especially in our region here in Cincinnati and then beyond, is that there is enough bread at the table for everyone to eat. And so much of what we do is we really look at one another as competition, and we are not competing for anything. You are your only competition. And so today, Whitney is going to be here talking about that mindset and really embracing how do we step forward into this mindset of abundance. Rules of the road today, I ask that everybody, if you're not speaking, please go on mute. I would appreciate it. I will go ahead and create those settings once I go off up here on the main stage to make sure that you guys are doing that. But because I don't think it muted everybody coming in. But Whitney, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time and taking us through this great mindset shift. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Stevie, and thanks for the intro. And everyone, I've just seen so many amazing faces on here, and I'm so excited to be here. I am coming at you live from Ada, Oklahoma today. I actually live in Northern Kentucky, but I have some deep roots here. So we're here for a week. And as you can see, I've been kind of massaging the wireless situation. So my arm's going to get really strong because I'm operating off of my phone, which seems to get the best reception. So if you are having trouble hearing me or I've dropped, just send Stevie a chat message and we will make sure that we get it all fixed back up. But I believe that we're going to be great. So it's nice to have everyone. And I thought if you had the opportunity to download the worksheet that Stevie sent, make sure that you have that pulled up on your screen, or if you printed a copy, even better. But
and Whitney, I will go ahead and actually put that directly into the chat for everyone. So that way you can, everybody can have access to that readily available.
That's awesome. Thank you, Stevie. And Stevie, I'm not sure if it's showing or not, but What I'd like to do before we even really get started with the work is to just get centered. And so that's the first item on the agenda. And it's going to be a very brief exercise, but this is a tool that I'm offering you to take away to use anytime you need it, to kind of get centered before you're embarking on something that needs to get done. So if you're seated in a chair where your feet touch the floor, please, oh, I see you, Bree. I'm so excited too. Thank you. Please place your feet flat on the floor and just sit up. Can you hear me okay, Stevie?
Yes, you sound great.
Okay. All right, good. Sit up and have your sits bones comfortably in your seat. Straighten out your back. And if you've taken a course from me, you already know what's coming. Loosen up those shoulders and kind of roll your neck around. What we're doing, you know, we hold so much tension in our neck and our shoulders. So let's kind of get those loosened up. And now I want you to take one hand and place it on your belly, because we're going to focus on our breathing. And we're just going to be quick about this because we are limited on time, but we can do this and really get centered in a short amount of time. So hand on your belly. Now, when you inhale, you should feel your belly expand. And expansion is good. That's that deep belly breathing. And when you exhale, you should feel your belly contract. So let's just take a minute and kind of get a rhythm there. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract. Keep doing that. And as you do that, I want you to focus on your body. Find the place in the body where you feel like you're carrying the most tension. For me right now, it's probably between my shoulder blades. I'm going to start focusing my breath, and you can close your eyes if that helps. Focus the breath on that area of tension. And as you breathe in that tension. And as you exhale, breathe it out. Breathe it out of your body and thank it, because your body's signaling to you that you need to relax. Thank it and send it into the world as gratitude. So we're breathing in and exhaling the tension. I'm going to count to 10, and all I want you to do is focus on that. And if your mind starts to wander, just take your attention back to your hand on your belly and feeling that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 'And now I just want you to take 3 more breaths and go ahead and slowly open your eyes. Good. Now we are in our bodies. We are present for this session. And it is so good to have all of you. I'm going to give you another tool now. Now that you've kind of settled your mind and gotten your body relaxed, you'll notice on your worksheet, there's a line that says, today, my intention is. Your intention is just setting out what your desired outcome is for a specific situation. So if you could just, in a sentence, maybe 2, write out what your intention is for today, that would be great. And if you feel like sharing it, feel free to put it in the chat as well. That kind of always creates great community to communicate like that. And I'm just going to give you 60 seconds to do that. Take about 30 more seconds.
And if anybody wasn't able to download the attachment, I'm happy to send it to you via email. And it's in the invitation as well that was sent out.
Oh, I'm seeing some great intentions. My intention is to be fully present today. That's Stevie. Stevie, I'm totally working on presence too. I love it. Let's see. RC handy to learn tools and resources that maximize my sense of appreciation. That's fantastic. Alicia, my intention is to learn to enhance my ability to focus on abundance over scarcity. Those are great, guys. Thank you. Keep sharing if you feel compelled to. So when you set your intention, what that does is it gets your compass settled so that you actually have a direction that you're going toward, and it will focus you more on achieving your desired outcome. It's a great tool. You can use it broadly. You can use it before a meeting. Really helps in meetings, especially when you share it with people in the meeting, because they all stay focused on the intention. All right. We're going to talk next about the law of sufficiency and abundance. That's kind of the focal point of the 7 universal laws for this activity, the abundance versus scarcity mindset. So Stevie mentioned the law of attraction earlier, which generally speaking means like attracts like. So what you put out into the universe is what you're going to attract to yourself. That means that we are vibrational people. Our thoughts, our emotions, our actions are vibrational. So we send it out and that's what we will receive. When we have a scarcity mindset, you're putting out a low vibe. So you're going to bring that low vibe in. When we have an abundant mindset, you're putting out a high vibe, and that's going to help you receive high vibes back. So the law of sufficiency and abundance, if you have your pens ready, it's really, really simple. And you're going to be like, yes, I've heard this before. You have and always have had everything that you need to experience life to the fullest. You have and always have had everything that you need to experience life to the fullest. There is, was, and always will be enough. Now, if anybody needs me to repeat that, just let me know. Okay, so that's a pretty broad statement when you think about our current climate and you think about the intricacies and the complication or complexities of our society. And so one of the questions I often get is, well, how do you shift into that mindset, or how could I have always had enough if I was born into these circumstances? And that's a valid question. And I think it's important to kind of discuss and understand. So what I want you to imagine is a baby, and when a baby is born, right? When a baby is born, that child is pure potential. That child survives because others give to it to help it survive. Even babies that survive in circumstances that are not desirable, they are getting what they need to live, to exist, because they continue to survive. And somehow that happens for them. The baby's expectation is that there is enough in the universe to help them continue to live. And by the mere nature of our existence, there is an abundance of everything. In the context of money, if you think about it like that, there is enough money for all of us. We think about, well, gosh, I have all of these student loans. Well, the money in the law of sufficiency and abundance would say the money's out there for me to get to pay off these student loans. It is just up to us to not have a scarcity mindset and let the story drive us that there isn't money for me to make to pay off those loans. The mindset needs to be the money's out there and I will find it. And that is the law of sufficiency and abundance. So when we think about it in the context of our social climate right now and the challenges that we have, when we come at something with a low vibrational energy and we think there's not enough for me, or they're just going to discard me because of this, that, or the other reason, then that's the narrative that we tell ourselves. That's the story that we tell ourselves. That is what we will attract to ourselves. We have to go forward with our desired outcome, set our intention, and say, what is mine is out there for me to receive, and I will find it. And that's the difference, because when we come at it from scarcity, What's driving that? That is complete fear. That is fear. Think about it in the context of running your own business. You could think about all of the competition out there and what they're doing. And you could focus on that competition and really think about how they're better than you or how they're stealing your clients. And you know what's happening? You're pounding all of that energy into them, and it's going to propel them. It is not going to be in service of you. Is it good to be aware of what's out there? Absolutely. But what's amazing is when you focus from an abundance mindset and you see competition doing something that might be something you would have thought of, now you might be able to take that idea and maybe even enhance it, or even better, connect with competition and come together and do something big. There's the opportunities when you come from an abundance mindset are so infinite. When you're operating from a scarcity mindset, you're very, very much limiting yourself. So before we do an exercise, there are 2 tools I want to offer you that will help you continue to operate from that abundance mindset through the law of sufficiency and abundance. The first tool is one of my best friend's favorite tools, and she's the one that educated me on this. You may have heard of Rachel DeRochers, and she's the one that actually taught me about gratitude. And I know gratitude's gotten some feedback lately that it could be related to telling us that we should be okay with what. That's not the narrative of gratitude. That's not what gratitude's about. Gratitude is powerful. The abundance we already have in the present. And that's really important, because if we keep living from the future and thinking about what we don't have, we're moving back into that scarcity mindset. But if we can anchor ourselves in the present with what we do have, we have a strong foundation to build on. We have a foundation that we appreciate, that we can build on to receive what we want. And so when we think about gratitude, shifting our thoughts into the belief that the elements in our lives at this very moment are sufficient. They are sufficient or enough. We begin to appreciate that and grow a sense of peace. When we grow a sense of peace, we quell fear. When we quell fear, we neutralize those barriers, and we're able to open up our hands and be ready to receive. And I'm telling you, the shift happens quickly. Do 3 to 5 things a day that you're grateful for. And if it's hard to think of something, go simple. I'm grateful for a roof over my head. I'm grateful for air conditioning. I'm grateful for having clothes. I'm grateful for a paycheck. And sometimes that gratitude shifts into very serious present moments where you all of a sudden realize you're paying attention. For me right now, I can hear the birds, and I'm very hyper aware of the birds chirping. And I'm so grateful for that, because it's peaceful and it creates a nice atmosphere for me to help teach you about abundance. And you just start noticing things more in the present moment. And that is so deeply important, because it's all we've got. The present moment is all we've got, and gratitude will anchor you there. So that's the first tool that I would offer you. The second tool, and this one is a little more challenging this day and age, but I promise we're all capable of it, is forgiveness. Okay. So when we talk about forgiveness, let's talk about it not in the context of religion, not in the context of being sacrificial or a martyr, but in the context of our own freedom. Because when we are free, we are more capable of receiving. So forgiveness means allowing. You're allowing things to be as they are. You're allowing people to be as they are. Because when we forgive, we're not offering the wrongdoers, including ourselves, we're not offering the wrongdoers the freedom from their wrongdoing. We are offering ourselves freedom to move forward. Okay? We're offering ourselves freedom to move forward. This principle is very much aligned with the law of allowing, which is another universal law. And allowing just says, allow the circumstances to be as they are, so that we can neutralize ourselves to receive. And then when we're neutralized, those difficult situations that we desire a better outcome for, that we want to be a part of, our thoughts aren't focused on the lack-based things that are going to pull us away from achieving what we want to achieve to make the world a better place. We're going to have a clear mind and be able to receive the tools that we need to make things better in the world as we want to see them happen. When we come from a low vibe, we're just going to hold ourselves back. So forgiveness and gratitude, those are two tools that can help you really move into that abundance mindset. And at the end of this, after we have our exercise, if there's time, I know we can do discussion and Q&A, because I'm happy to talk about this all day long and help people, help answer questions for people. But I want to move forward now, for the sake of time, to limiting beliefs. And I just set my paper down and lost it. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, so I'm sure all of you have heard of limiting beliefs. And if you haven't, then this is going to really open your eyes and be a helpful tool as well. If you have your pens ready, limiting beliefs are negative thoughts or stories that we think repeatedly, that we tell ourselves repeatedly, until we believe them enough to be true. So limiting beliefs are negative stories or thoughts we think repeatedly until we believe them enough to be true. And then, and this is the scary part, then we start subconsciously using them as stories we tell ourselves to hold ourselves back. Then we use them as stories we tell ourselves to hold ourselves back. So what I'd like to do for the group exercise that we're going to 2 minutes, and write down some limiting beliefs that you currently experience. And I'm going to give you an example, and that might help motivate you to think about them from that context. So for me, I practiced law for a couple of years right after I graduated law school, right during the recession. And so I couldn't get a job at the
Oh, Whitney,
and
oh, sorry. God, we lost you for a second. We lost you for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I couldn't get a job in the area I wanted to practice in, but I was lucky enough to get a job. So I practiced for 2 years, and then I left the practice because the economy was still rough. In the meantime, I developed a story in my head that I would never be able to get a job in the area I wanted to practice. And I kept telling myself that and telling myself that. 10 years later, after a very nice career in sales, I started thinking, what created that belief? And went back to what it was. And I let go of that belief. And within about 2 weeks of that, I received a call offering some work in that area of practice with the flexibility that I needed with 3 small children and running a business. And it was like, why couldn't that be possible? Because I wasn't letting myself believe it was possible. So think about your limiting beliefs and what's holding you back. And the other thing that could be helpful to guide you on this is think about what you want and what are the limiting beliefs that are keeping you from what you want. And I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to write that down.
And Whitney, as they're writing this down, one thing that I think a lot of times why people create limiting beliefs is sometimes as humans, we want boxes and parameters, right? We find comfort in knowing what the boundary is because being boundless feels so big and vast. And I think that my observation and my own experience is that parameters are sometimes nice when we're doing things that we know we don't want to do. But sometimes we put them on things that we do want to do instead because we cast this wide net on all of our capabilities. And so I don't know if you can speak a little bit to that as we're kind of people are going through, because I just would find it very interesting to you. And I've never really thought about it this way before.
So I think that it goes back to, I can't remember, I think it was Mary Oliver that talked about success. And, we say, what if I fail? And she says, oh, but dear, what if you succeed? What if you wildly succeed? And sometimes that vision of wild success is so vast and so unknown that we need those stories to quell the fear of the unknown. And we don't even realize that that's what's holding us back. And they become tools. They become tools that we use to be able to manage what our minds can't wrap around, versus just allowing our minds to be open to all the possibilities. And we're very much conditioned that way. We're very much conditioned to think that we have to be structured in everything. That's how our society operates and has operated. I think whenever I think about this, I think about, if any of you have kids, the Lego movie where everybody's singing "Everything is Awesome" as they're doing their little jobs, and nobody's thinking outside of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's scary to think outside of what you're supposed to be doing. One, because of the unlimited possibilities, and two, because often we worry about what other people will think if we go for something. It makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it makes people uncomfortable.
And I do a talk on having the audacity, right? To kind of design your life. And I love that word. It's so polarizing. It makes me so happy because, I think that having the audacity to verbalize and say, I believe that Wise Wellness Guild will be $1 billion company. Like I do believe that. And it's scary, right? Because then we go, oh, what if it doesn't happen? Or she said it, and, and you get in your own head and you're like, if you're surrounding yourself with the right people are going to say, hell yeah, it will be. I want to ride that rocket ship. I want to be a part of that. And I think that that's where, the fear of judgment, the fear of shame, the fear of failure, allowing for ourselves to really believe that we have everything that we need already is great. And I know that there's a few comments in the chat as we get into this activity.
Let's hear them.
Which is about, how do we separate a limiting belief from true limits? I have limited energy. That is a reality. I'm trying to frame this as a limiting belief. And and then on top of that, same here, Joanne, I'm quite unorganized. I'm working on improving that, but also recognizing my mind doesn't naturally work in an organized manner. So there's limiting beliefs versus true limits.
Let's see. I'm just reading through here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. How do we separate? Okay. So it becomes a matter of a mind shift. Less about, and I can say this with an 18-month-old.
Yeah.
Easy for me to fall in the trap. I am exhausted all the time. That's the story I'm telling myself. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to feel exhausted all the time, right? Even when I'm not, I'm going to feel exhausted because I keep telling myself that, right? So when I think about, I have limited energy, and now we're looking into semantics, and believe it or not, this can make a difference. So instead of saying I have limited energy, say that when I am energetic, I am unlimited in what I can do. And when I'm not, rest is good. I need rest to succeed. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having limited energy because we all have to recharge. That's not a bad thing. So it's the light that you're casting it in. So if you cast it in a light of you're human, you do need your rest. And when you get your rest, the energy that you do have from rest is unlimited. You're capable of doing whatever you need. Then you begin to think about the possibilities versus the limitations. Thanks, Joanne. I saw that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then I think I saw Linda talking about I'm unorganized. Linda, same girl, same. Like, but you know what? If it works for you, you know what I've realized? I can focus all my energy on being organized and being super hypercritical of myself for not being perfect in that organizational way, or I can understand that I know where everything is and I operate just fine the way it is and be okay with that. Because if you have what you need, you're fine. And if you feel like that disorganization is something that's distracting and unhelpful to you, there is an abundance of ways to work on that. You can, if you can afford to, you could ask for help for somebody to come in and organize it in a fashion that speaks to you. Take the time to do it yourself. You know, whatever that speaks to. It's more about, if you want to get organized, you don't have to declare I am organized, even if you're not. But I'm in the process.
Oh, what? I think we lost her for a second. I was going to just make a comment about myself while we get her back on and I would welcome anybody to also come off of mute too, if you wanted to share some of your limiting beliefs. Whitney, are we going into group exercises or are we going?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
What I was saying just to close out with Linda was, you don't have to force yourself to be organized all at once. You can tell yourself, I'm in the process of being organized, and take the time you need to do it and be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
So the next step is we're going to take 2 minutes and look back at your limiting beliefs. Compassion for self. Yes, Liz, I love that. Look at your limiting beliefs, and now to diffuse these limiting beliefs and begin to shift out of scarcity or lack, ask, what beliefs would someone have to create my desired outcome? List these new beliefs below. Watch your semantics. It wouldn't, instead of saying not being tired all the time, say I'd feel more energetic, right? So watch your semantics when you shift your beliefs. And we'll give about 2 minutes for that. And then yes, Stevie, let's move into breakouts, and you can decide what the time frame would be on that.
Okay, perfect. So 2, and then how many people per group?
Do we have an even number of women?
We've got around 47 on here.
Okay. You want to try to just do like 5 to 6 per group?
Great. Perfect.
Okay. And Stevie, it looks like we've got about 36 now. So yeah. I think that's going to work fine.
All right.
Okay. Well, why? So
I was going to say, I was going to go ahead and do 9 breakouts. So we'll have about 4 per room, and go ahead and send everybody out now.
Oh, hang on. Can you wait just 1 sec? When you go into your groups, the question to discuss is, what needs to be true in your life to shift into allowing the above list to replace your limiting beliefs? You are in a safe space. We are in a safe space. Please be respectful. This is not really a space to offer advice so much as have a dialogue and be gentle and compassionate with each other. So as you do that, and make new friends, connect with some folks. Okay. This is a great opportunity to do that. And how long will we be in the group, Stevie?
We will be in for, I'd say at this point, probably about 10 minutes.
Perfect. Great. Okay. And enjoy each other's company.
Yes. Great. Thank you. For those of you on our Facebook Live, please be sure to write into the chat some of the limiting beliefs that you might have, and we'll go ahead and bring those forward. Remember, limiting beliefs are those that you may have stories that you may have told yourself time over time that have now become true, and truths for you that hold you back from being able to achieve the financial success that you might want, or to achieve other areas of success that you might want. Hello, all. Welcome back. Hello, welcome back as you guys are all finishing up your conversations. I hope you're finding this concept really interesting. One of the things that I realized about myself is I sometimes confuse the idea of optimism with abundance, right? I consider myself to be a very optimistic person, but what I don't think I've ever really done is thought through some of those narratives that maybe we tell ourselves and things that might be holding us back from really being able to being able to step into receiving all the things that are out there waiting for us. And as I went through Whitney's Universal Laws group, as so many of you on this call have done, I believe, like I said, I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces on here. I think that you'll find that there's so many pieces when you talk about energy, it can sometimes be perceived as a woo-woo concept. But it's not. It's very real, quantum energy,
Practical.
science-based. And I get very excited about the idea of us taking ownership and accountability for the things we're putting into the universe and the energy we're putting out, and how we're being intentional about asking for the things that we want, but getting out of our own way, right? And Whitney and I talk a lot about lifting the paddle. Which law is that, Whitney? That I, sometimes let those limiting beliefs be the thing that I keep the paddle in the water and my canoe goes a shift and all of a sudden
Upstream.
I'm upstream. Yeah, exactly. And I just need to go with the flow and embrace it.
Yes, that's the law of detachment. You're detaching from the outcome, knowing it's.
Uh-oh, I think we lost her. Well, while she comes back on, the law of detachment has been one that has been huge for me. She said, disconnecting myself from the outcome, understanding that I have to trust the process because I will give so much energy to trying to control something. And I don't know if there's anybody else in here that can speak to that. Is maybe part of your success you've attributed to being in control and being at the helm as a leader. And guess what? That's not necessarily the case, right? Yes, you could probably do it better than anybody else, right? But if we try to assume that we know everything and that we're in control, that we're setting ourselves up for failure and putting energy in the wrong spot. And that's been huge for me, is to say, let it go, let go of the things you can control so you can put energy into things that you can, and really energy into the things that are going to be in pursuit of what's up ahead instead of what's right here. And I think the pandemic for me, if anything, taught me that I am in control of absolutely nothing, but it is up to me to just kind of make sure that I go along the stream and am ready to accept whatever comes my way.
Well, and I want to add to that. I said the law of detachment and then my internet detached.
Sure.
So anyway, what I was going to say is when we think about that, when we release and lift our paddles, it's not that we're like, okay, rain down on me, universe, and give me all that I want. The universe will do that. But it's the difference between forced action and inspired action.
Yes.
When you're forcing yourself to do something, you're paddling upstream. Yes. You feel it. When you're forcing yourself to do something, the vibe is low. But when your action is inspired, it's because the universe has presented an opportunity for the next right step, and you feel the charge, you feel the spark, and so you do it. And if you don't feel the charge and you don't feel the spark, I strongly urge you to be still. Be still until you gain clarity. Loris gave me that expression. Yes, be still until you gain clarity.
And I think that just kind of as we're coming back to this next part of your agenda, is I really think that, when we're so afraid of that sunk cost fallacy sometimes, and like, what is that? If you talk about energy as being currency, time is currency, right? Like, we've sunk everything into this. We've got to stick it out. How many times do we said that? I just got to get through this next thing. there is absolutely no, you can flip the script and plot twist at any time. You can make a call and say, nope. And
Yep.
I was on a professional call one time and somebody called it the hot shot rule, which I used with my team the other day, which is like, you're the CEO of your own life and you call an audible and say, I'm making a call and going with it. You do not owe anybody an explanation. No one, zero, nobody. And so I think that there's a piece of this as we talk about, allowing for that space and accepting and believing that there's more out there. I think that that's the part that I get very excited about, allowing for people to think differently about how those narratives that we tell ourselves. Yeah.
And if I may offer, I always try to make sure that I clarify this. When we use energy work,
We lost you again, Whit.
if I may offer, it's not toxic positivity, very problematic.
Yeah.
When you're, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. When you're at a low emotional vibration, allow yourself to process it. Do not just go be toxic positive. That's not authentic. Your authenticity is process it and slowly level yourself up to the emotional vibration you want to be. Okay. It's okay to feel what you feel. Your emotions are here to communicate with you and help you lead your life. The power of this is knowing how to elevate your emotions the right way.
Yes.
And so if you are feeling depressed or down, and when I say depressed, if you have depression, get help, like medicine, therapist, therapy, whatever. I'm a full proponent of that. But I'm talking about when you're managing your emotions yourself and you're feeling down. Recognize where you are. Think about, how would I like to feel? I'd like to feel confidence. Okay. So maybe the next emotion for you goes from sad to complacent, and you're slowly moving up, but you're processing those feelings. Breath work helps with that. Just getting in your body, feeling that this triggered me because of this. This is how I feel right now. I'm going to breathe through it and I'm going to allow it to move through my body. That will help you elevate. But your emotions are valid always. It's just the work of understanding the potential to elevate them as you go.
No, and I love that. And if anybody has any additional questions, I think that this next part for me, just I really do firmly believe that, and I've just had this conversation earlier today, that faking it till you make it is not, this work is crucial for you to actually believe it. This is not something that you get to say something and then have this little voice in the back of your head. I mean, it has to be all of you and you have to be all in to do it. And it's just reminiscent as we're kind of going through this is something that Bree had said in our last money story conversation, which is a lot of it is about, just trusting the process. She talks a lot about, in the pandemic with the market and how you invest your money, or how you think about, you make a decision and you've obviously like thinking about why you're making those decisions. Like, what are those stories that you're telling yourself? Ask why a lot to get to those limiting beliefs. And then allowing for yourself to say, once I've made a decision, let's see how it plays out and let it go. And I know she was telling a lot of stories about people panicked, with the stock market and with investments and things, and how, like understanding that there is data and proof that shows if you just stay the course, that you will end up better in the end than you were if you pull the trigger early. And I think that there's just very tangible financial pieces to this, but then from a life standpoint too, about life decisions and where you're going. And that's the part that I love about this, is you can take it down into so many different parts of your life. And I mean, even as a mother, I think about this, about when I force things too much with my 5-year-old, what happens every time? We end up in tears. We end up in a place where nobody's happy. Everybody's, kind of really in a bad spot. And I feel like if we just have some flexibility to allow for things to kind of unfold, and obviously a safe way, I'm not going to let him run around with like carving knives, like those are the parameters.
Right.
But, he gets dirty and messy, or, he's a little late for school, or he doesn't want to eat his carrots. Okay. Like, that's just, is that going to, at the end of the day, hurt him? Absolutely not. So like, let him be his own person. And I think the same with businesses. As we're operating our businesses, things are going to happen. We don't have to react to every single thing. I have received every day something that somebody doesn't really necessarily love the way I'm doing it. And I think that there's a lot more positive though that I get, about 9 more to every 1 negative. And so I think it's just a really dispelling the fact that you have to be a certain way.
Well, and it's tied to your self-worth, right?
Yeah.
We honor ourselves. And, the great Maya Angelou said, what others think about us is none of our business, right? And the reason she says that is because we need to anchor to our own self-worth and be okay with who we are regardless. Because the real reality of this is that we think about ourselves a lot more than everybody else does.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
so don't worry about it. Just focus on your desired outcome. And, think about the vibrational level, the emotional level that you want to be. And if you're not there yet, focus on the inspired actions that will shift you into that level. Sometimes inspired action looks like treating yourself to a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Getting up from your desk and going for a walk. Inspired action doesn't always have to have a point other than to lift your emotional vibration.
I think that's fantastic. I love that. And if anybody has any questions for Whitney, I would encourage you to put them into the chat, or to, make sure that you have, one thing I was going to do as we're closing out is to share Whitney's information. So I'll go ahead and flash that up now in case anybody would like to reach out. So one of the really great things, if you are feeling inspired today, Whitney has an incredible universal laws workshop. It's a 7-week workshop. It's 1 night a week. And the reason it's an investment in yourself. When I say that, I mean, it's a time investment. And then everybody knows me, who knows me knows that like time for me is like the most limited resource of them all. And I would not recommend this to you if I didn't feel like it was meaningful. There's a lot of self-love work and self-reflection work that I've done in my life. And this is one of the more powerful experiences that I've had when you're thinking about how do you step into a space where you can truly understand how to get more out of this life and this world, and how do we start to really embrace the pieces of ourselves that we would maybe have not been intentional about. And this in combination with her Enneagram work. If you are unfamiliar with Enneagram, I can have Whitney speak a bit to it, but Enneagram for me, it's, has allowed for me to truly understand my motivators and what makes me, but has allowed for me to curb shame that I have felt for the way that I am, and allow for me to accept it and understand how to use it as a tool to propel me forward versus it being a box that I get put inside. And I think that there's a lot of things out of this. I'm a 3 with a wing 4. There are no online tests that can do what Whitney does with this. And because I do think that there's a lot that it can be misconstrued, but I would encourage you both of those pieces. As we said, there's a lot of people on this that have done both of those that can give you incredible rave reviews. It's life-changing. Can't recommend it enough. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Stevie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would love to see your faces there. It's an hour and a half on Thursday nights for a 7-week time period. You will make friends you will keep for life. You will make business connections that will collaborate. It is a blast. So I would love to see you.
Absolutely. And Bree had mentioned in our group, we talked a lot about not having enough time. What would you turn that into a positive affirmation?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have time for the things that are in service of my desired outcome.
Yes.
And yes, Jesse, I offer a virtual option. It is virtual. Yep.
Yes.
It's only if it's all local, I may opt to offer meet in person, but I'm not going to do that if we get people that aren't local, and it will be virtual. It's fun, guys. I promise you'll like it. This was a taste of it. This was a taste.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll create community, and we'll get to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Whitney, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and for everybody who has been a part of this conversation today. I cannot thank you enough for taking this time to invest in yourself. We know that there's a lot of things going on, especially as the world is opening up, a lot of meetings we've got to get to, a lot of boxes to check, and you made the decision consciously to not yet let your limiting beliefs of scheduling get in your way and to show up for yourself. And for that, I commend you and I encourage you to continue to do that. I thank you so much for being here today. Next on the agenda, if you are interested in learning more about our upcoming events, you can check us out at wisewellnessguild.com/events. Our next event coming up is stress support, why you can't outrun stress and how to manage it. And it's a lot of the data and science behind stress. We have large groups and teams from corporations that are sending this out to their ERGs, and a lot of groups and people that are really trying to help dive in on this. So if you have a group within your organization that you feel like this would be a benefit, feel free to check us out. Thank you so much again. And we'll see you at the next Challenge for Change event, Financial 101, next month. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stevie. Thank you, Paycor. Bye-bye.
Thank you.